Hello and welcome to Prepspot. In this video, we are going to know about a critical development in international affairs. It is important to understand the significant repercussions this incident may have on humanitarian concerns, diplomatic ties, and business investments in conflict zones. On 12 April 2025, research suggests that a Russian missile struck a warehouse operated by Kusum Healthcare, a prominent Indian pharmaceutical company based in Kyiv, Ukraine. This strike resulted in the complete destruction of essential medicines intended for vulnerable populations, particularly children and the elderly, highlighting how civilian infrastructure can become collateral in a larger conflict. This incident emerges against the broader backdrop of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, which has escalated notably since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, following years of tension that began with the annexation of Crimea in 2014. What makes this development particularly alarming is the allegation made by the Ukrainian embassy, which asserts that the missile strike was not an accident but rather a deliberate act by Russian forces targeted at Indian businesses operating abroad. Such an assertion is highly controversial, especially given Russia's long-standing claim of a special friendship with India, a relationship characterized by a complex blend of historical ties, defense cooperation, and energy trade, as India remains one of Russia's significant customers, with oil import figures in February 2025 reported at 1.48 million barrels per day. This dispute over intent is further compounded by initial conflicting reports. Some early accounts suggested the attack might have involved a drone strike, a discrepancy that underscores the inherent challenges in verifying real-time information during active military conflicts where propaganda, miscommunication, and deliberate misinformation can blur the lines between fact and fiction. Consequently, debates continue as experts and diplomats alike work to piece together a coherent narrative of the events, pointing to a deliberate targeting that could be interpreted as part of a broader strategy by Russia, aimed perhaps not only at undermining Ukraine's resilience but also at sending a signal to other international stakeholders, including major economic players like India. In this session, we consider both the direct humanitarian impact and the far-reaching diplomatic implications of the attack. The destruction of the pharmaceutical warehouse has triggered outrage and concern among several nations, as it has directly disrupted the supply chain of medicines critical for the health and survival of some of the most vulnerable sections of society. This incident lays bare the human cost of warfare, where the collateral damage inflicted on essential services, such as healthcare, can have cascading effects on communities, leaving many without access to the drugs they urgently require. The repercussions extend to the business sector as well, raising serious questions regarding the security of international investments amidst volatile geopolitical climates. Indian companies operating in conflict zones now face heightened risks, with investors and government bodies alike grappling with the potential fallout and the long-term implications for economic ties. At the same time, Indian policymakers must delicately balance their strategic partnerships, particularly with Russia, a country with which they share extensive defense, trade, and energy commitments, even as such events put India's notion of neutrality and its ambitions on the international stage under scrutiny. It is equally important to note that amidst the immediate humanitarian and economic fallout, there is an underlying issue concerning adherence to international humanitarian law. Targeting facilities that store vital medicines could constitute a breach of the Geneva Conventions, which are designed to protect civilian lives and ensure that medical infrastructure is safeguarded even in times of armed conflict. Accusations by the Ukrainian embassy that Russia deliberately targeted Indian assets have now ignited a debate over whether the act was simply collateral damage in a larger military campaign or an intentional move to weaken the operational capacity of businesses that provide critical goods and services, such as Kusum Healthcare, not only to Ukraine but also to other countries where they operate. Such a scenario, if proven deliberate, could have broader diplomatic ramifications, forcing a re-examination of existing international alignments and potentially straining long-held ties between India and Russia, a relationship that, until now, has navigated through challenges with a remarkable degree of balance and mutual respect. However, recent strategic developments, such as the reported reduction in India's oil imports from Russia between January and February 2025, though reflective of market adjustments, also provide an interesting backdrop against which this incident is being scrutinized, indicating that even long-standing energy and trade partnerships might come under renewed pressure in the wake of such confrontations. Furthermore, as we look deeper into the operational dynamics behind the missile strike, it becomes evident that modern conflicts are marked by a blend of technological precision and sometimes ambiguous attribution. The incident involving Kusum Healthcare has also sparked a debate over the nature of the weaponry used. While initial reports based on statements from various sources, including a British ambassador who first described the attack as a drone strike, have now largely been corrected by Ukrainian authorities confirming it as a missile strike, the ambiguity in these early accounts serves to highlight the inherent difficulties of verifying facts in the midst of ongoing military operations. The reliance on drones and precision-guided munitions is a hallmark of contemporary warfare, emphasizing both the tactical shift towards minimizing unintended casualties and the paradox of increased collateral damage when high-value targets such as healthcare facilities are involved. The fact that this event has unsettled observers within both the international diplomatic community and the business sphere illustrates how single incidents can encapsulate the broader challenges of modern conflict, from the technical aspects of military strategy to the ethical and humanitarian questions that arise when essential resources are deliberately targeted. On a broader scale, this incident marks yet another tragic chapter in a conflict that has already affected millions of lives. It compels us to re-examine the risks that international businesses face when operating in regions of instability and conflict. The global pharmaceutical supply chain, already under strain from various logistical and regulatory challenges, now faces an added layer of uncertainty. Companies like Kusum Healthcare, known for their extensive network that spans 29 countries including Ukraine, Moldova, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and several African nations, play a crucial role in ensuring that essential medicines reach those in need. The targeted destruction of their infrastructure not only jeopardizes the immediate health needs of the local population but also raises concerns about the long-term disruption of healthcare services in regions that depend on steady supplies of medical products. Investors and policymakers must now reckon with the twin imperatives of ensuring security for foreign investments and protecting the infrastructure that underpins vital humanitarian services. In this light, the incident can be seen as a poignant reminder of the interconnectedness of global security, economic stability, and public health, where the ripple effects of military actions reverberate across multiple sectors, threatening to unravel well-established systems of international cooperation and commerce. Amid the mounting concerns, discussions about the implications of this development have been animated and multifaceted. On one hand, there is the immediate humanitarian crisis, children and the elderly losing access to life-saving medicines, which has the potential to exacerbate public health emergencies in regions where healthcare resources are already strained. On the other hand, there is a broader strategic debate about the impact of such attacks on international diplomatic relations. India's traditional stance of neutrality in the Russia-Ukraine conflict is now under scrutiny as incidents like these force the nation to publicly reconsider its strategic interests and the risks associated with its overseas investments. The allegations made by the Ukrainian embassy, which point to a calculated effort by Russia to undermine Indian economic interests, are particularly incendiary given the historical and ongoing ties that have underpinned India-Russia relations for decades. This clash of perceptions, where one narrative accentuates the aggressiveness of the military tactics being used in the conflict and another emphasizes long-standing strategic partnerships, underscores the broader challenge of managing international relations in an era marked by complex geopolitical rivalries and shifting alliances. As a teacher addressing this topic in a live session, I would encourage a nuanced analysis of these developments. It is crucial to approach the subject not merely as a case study of a single military strike, but as an event that embodies several key themes of contemporary international relations: the vulnerability of international businesses in conflict zones, the intricacies of neutrality in a complex geopolitical landscape, and the potentially devastating humanitarian consequences of modern warfare. We must consider how economic activities and global supply chains, which are critical for the functioning of modern societies, can be disrupted by the unforeseen dynamics of armed conflict. In this light, the attack on Kusum Healthcare serves as a cautionary tale for businesses and policymakers alike, urging them to establish more robust measures for protecting critical infrastructure and ensuring that essential services remain operational even in the face of military aggression. In analyzing this incident, one must also take into account the technical details that add further complexity to the narrative. The type of missile used in the strike has not been definitively specified in public reports, which opens up further avenues for investigation and speculation. Russia's arsenal, known to include both cruise missiles such as the Kalibr and ballistic missiles like the Iskander, is designed for precision targeting. However, regardless of the type employed in this specific operation, the ultimate consequence remains the same: the catastrophic loss of life-saving medicines stored in a key pharmaceutical warehouse. Early misreports, such as those initially describing the attack as a drone strike, underscore the difficulties in reliably documenting and verifying facts in the fog of war. They also reveal how information can be manipulated or misinterpreted in the chaos following a military action, adding layers of complication to efforts aimed at holding any party accountable under international law. Moreover, the incident compels us to examine the economic warfare strategies that are increasingly being deployed in modern conflicts. Targeting civilian infrastructure, such as pharmaceutical warehouse, is a tactic aimed at crippling the adversary's capacity to sustain its population and military efforts. Such strategies, while effective from a military standpoint, can have far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond the battlefield. They affect the broader economic landscape, strain international trade relationships, and create an environment of uncertainty that can discourage foreign direct investment. For Indian companies operating abroad, particularly in regions where political stability is compromised, this incident serves as a stark reminder of the inherent risks associated with engaging in international markets that are susceptible to conflict. The cascading effects of such disruptions are likely to influence not only the immediate stakeholders but also the long-term economic policy decisions of nations that depend on these investments. At the same time, the diplomatic fallout from this event cannot be understated. India's delicate balancing act of maintaining neutrality while fostering a strategic partnership with Russia is now confronted with a real-world dilemma: how to continue to engage with a country that is implicated in an action that has severely impacted Indian business interests abroad. The allegation that Russia deliberately targeted an Indian pharmaceutical company poses a challenge for India's foreign policy, inviting scrutiny from other international actors and potentially shifting the dynamics of geopolitical alliances. It raises critical questions about the nature of special friendships in international relations, whether such relationships can withstand pressures when economic and humanitarian considerations come into conflict with traditional strategic ties. In light of these developments, policymakers are compelled to re-evaluate the framework of their international partnerships and devise strategies that both protect national interests and uphold commitments to global humanitarian standards. In summary, the missile strike on Kusum Healthcare's warehouse in Kyiv is a multifaceted event that encapsulates key challenges of our time. It draws attention to the perilous intersection of military aggression, humanitarian crisis, and the vulnerability of international business operations in areas marked by conflict. As we reflect on this incident, we must acknowledge that the repercussions extend far beyond the immediate destruction of physical infrastructure. They resonate through the spheres of public health, economic stability, and diplomatic relations. The deliberate or inadvertent targeting of facilities critical to healthcare provision raises alarms about potential violations of international human. Answer this question in comments. The correct answer will be given hot and pinned. Lastly, we just want to let you know that we are a newly emerging online platform for competitive exams. Creating educational explainer videos like these requires a lot of effort, money, and time. If you like these videos and want us to excel and create videos in all categories of competitive exams, then you can consider supporting us with a one-time donation through the Ko-fi platform and also by becoming a member through Patreon. This will help us create more such informative educational videos in the competitive exams space. So, one last time, subscribe and share this channel with all your friends who are preparing for competitive exams. And also, follow us on social media platforms. The links are given in the About section of the channel and also in the video description. So, see you in the next video.